Morning, guys. Good morning. Good morning. Welcome in. How is everybody doing? Water your plant. NorCal Bill, water your plant. You're probably right. That plant is probably, yeah, you're right. You're absolutely right. Morning, everybody. Good morning. Good morning. Happy Thursday. Holy crazy session yesterday, right? Insanity. One of the craziest sessions that I think we'll see probably for a long time. For a long time. How did I do yesterday? I did well. We got longs in the chat. We took some longs. I didn't catch the whole move, right? I certainly did not catch the whole move, but I am a participant on this move in long-term shares. That's it, right? That's my view, and this is why, like for me, I always buy dips, is because when days like this happen, I'm not so stressed out about missing it every intraday move, right? Because at least I have some exposure, right? At least I'm exposed to SPY, I'm exposed to Nvidia, AMD, Amazon, right? So when the broad-based market moves up, I'm exposed to it, right? Now, of course, you're also exposed to it when the market moves down, right? But in generally, the market moves up, right? So this is the type of day yesterday where many of you guys probably have FOMO, right? Even myself, I probably have some. I have FOMO too, right? For sure. But if you expose yourself to long-term positions, you're gonna have less FOMO because at least you're part of this move yesterday, right? In long-term shares. Now, we do have some big stuff happening today. We're not out of the woods yet, right? We have some big things happening. We are going to talk about it. We are going to absolutely talk about this stuff. We have a lot going on. We have CPI being released about 4 minutes ago. We're already actually a little bit late today, so we're going to get started in about a second. But we did CPI released, and we're going to talk about that data. Data actually quite good. The data came in quite good. 2.4 expectations. Sorry, 2.4 versus the expectations of 2.5. So CPI coming in better than market expectations, and market probably likes that. So we'll talk about that, what it means for today's session. And of course, this inflation data that's coming out today is not really measuring the impact of tariff data, because this is going to be from last month's inflation data. Okay, so a lot to go over, guys. Welcome in. Hope everybody is doing well. Hope everybody had a nice session yesterday, Wednesday session. Let's jump into it. We've got 600 people in here already. 600 people in here already. I think that's a good starting point. We can jump out. All right, let's dive in. So yesterday's session, probably one of the most unprecedented moves ever, right? I mean, this was, I think, the top 10 biggest moves SPY has ever made, and this was number 4, number 5. This was an incredible move yesterday. From the pre-market lows to where we closed out yesterday's session, it was a 12.8% equity move. A 12.8% equity move on SPY, right? SPY was moving pretty much like a small cap, a penny stock yesterday. Okay, now today's session we're seeing a little bit of a pullback in the market, and we're going to talk about this pullback. Is the pullback a buyable pullback? Is this pullback an area where we form perhaps maybe a lower high, or a higher low, not a lower high, a higher low? There's also the possibility of a lower high, right, on a larger time frame. But is this the idea of a higher low forming here on SPY? And we're going to talk about that today's session. So let's dive into it. We have a lot to go over. We're going to go over SPY's chart. We'll talk about the QQQ. We're going to go over ES 5300, ES 5300 ES. This is the level you must know about today. It is the level of levels. We're going to go over Amazon. We'll talk about Amazon's chart. We'll talk about AMD. We'll talk about Nvidia. We're going to go over maybe some Apple. We'll go over the Tesla 270 level, which is a very big level today. So a lot to go over this morning. We're also going to sort of flash and talk about the meta chart. We'll flash over this 500 level meta being a major hold spot yesterday's session. What does it do now? This is one of the biggest equity moves yesterday after holding that demand zone. So there's a lot to go over. But before we do any of this, guys, let's go over our economic data and earnings report. So today's session, is centered around one release. It's centered around CPI data. CPI data is the consumer price index. Consumer price index measures inflation. You guys know this stuff already, right? But the data that actually had come out was this. So I'm just going to repeat it for people who are just joining in, because I know some people are just joining in. The CPI March, the March data, because remember this is not April, this is March data, is 2.4 versus the market expectations of 2.5. And keep in mind that the prior data was 2.8. So you have this coming in better than market expectations. The Fed likes this stuff. Okay, the Fed likes CPI to come in lower. Now, besides that, today you also had jobless claims. Jobless claims had come out, and jobless claims came out at 223 versus the expectations of also 223. So nothing out of the ordinary, just pretty much on target, exactly on target. Besides that, you've Barkin speaking at 8:30, which is right now, 7 minutes ago. You have some more Fed speakers at 10 o'clock. They're probably going to indicate some stuff about CPI. They may even say some things. But again, that's not the centerpiece of today's session. The centerpiece of today's session was CPI. And now we're probably going to get some more tariff stuff, right? Because, of course, we're still at risk of headline news, right? Headline risk is still a big problem today's session. Besides that, tomorrow morning we have the PPI final demand. Remember, that measures inflation, but for producers, that's the producer price index. Let's move on, guys. Let's go over our earnings reports. So earnings reports, Delta, that's it. We're going to skip right over this. We're actually going to jump right over to charts, and let's dive into it. I want to make sure everybody can see me, can hear me, and is ready. Slimy, how do you break up days in the chart? There's a way to do it. Basically, you just set after hours, and you can change. Basically, you set after hours here, and you can extended trading hours. You change the color of your pre-market and post-market data. So that's all you do. Anyway, guys, let's dive into it. A lot to go over. Let's talk about a SPY chart. So on the SPY chart, yesterday, like we just spoke about, we made a very massive upside move, right? We sort of created a swing low of 485. We reclaimed the 496. We pushed higher into 503, and that was our session yesterday before the tariff 90-day pause was released. I took one position yesterday. I took a few different trades yesterday, but the biggest trade I taken yesterday was a long entry here, right? Remember we spoke yesterday about We spoke yesterday about the 500 failure. The 500 failure worked, but the best trade yesterday, in my opinion, was actually the break and hold of ES 5000. So we took the longs here at the 496 level, reclaimed 500, and got a nice upside play back in the 504, 503.80. That was my day yesterday session on SPY. Now, I look back and I see, well, this is where I took SPY longs, okay, in this area. And look at what happened at approximately 1:18 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. One of the craziest upside moves we've ever seen, right? And we're probably not going to see anything like this for maybe a decade, right? Because this does not happen very often. This move from the swing low to where it produced a high yesterday's session was a 9.7% equity move. In fact, just based upon time, you can see that from 1:10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time till 1:34 Eastern Standard Time, so 24 minutes of trading, resulted in a 7.6% equity move. This is one of the sharpest upside moves I've ever seen as a trader, ever. I think this is actually the biggest move I've ever seen live. Okay, this is the biggest upside move I've ever seen live. Now, the big thing about this move yesterday was we did one thing in particular. We reclaimed above 524. This 524 level is what on ES is what on SPY. On the 1 hour time frame, this 524 level is simply that Tuesday's high. This is the first moment in time SPY has potentially reclaimed a level in quite some time, probably since back in early April, late March. This is the first reclaiming move that SPY has made. The question becomes today, do we hold above 524, 523? Okay, because if we do, the best possible trade today is going to be simply this. It's going to be understanding that a pullback today is valid, is appreciated, and creates long opportunities off the 523, 524. That's it, right? That's all we have today, right? This is the level. If we're going to hold bullish momentum today, we have to hold right here. It's simply right here, 524. Therefore, the best trade today for long side is probably going to be some sort of hold play, long opportunity off the 524 bounce. That's it. That's simply what we're doing today. If we hold that, we're bullish. We're good. The problem becomes if we lose it, right? If we lose this level, then the pop yesterday was fake. It's fake news, and we go right back down to lows, and I don't think I would trust long side as long as you're underneath that 524. So your bias level is pretty simple. If you know this one thing today, you probably be successful whichever direction you trade, whether you're a long biased or or short biased. It's simply 524, right? If we are above the 524, you should be mostly long biased. If we're below the 524, you should be mostly short biased. Pretty simple level today. And if you go back to the ES chart, right? You go to the ES chart and say, well, why is this level so important? Why is this Tuesday level, the Friday level so important? Well, because it's also a level on the ES chart. It is simply the 5,300 level here in ES. Again, look here on the 1 hour. You can see it is that Tuesday high level, right? The pre-market push higher, produced a high here at 5,300. Remember that level we talked about on Tuesday? Big downside move off of it. And today's session, we were simply above that level. So today, watch to see if we hold the 53. Because if we are above the 53, we're bullish and we're holding strong, and we likely can look for some long plays off this demand. Okay, that's my mindset today, right? And of course, it may not be so simple. Maybe it looks like this today. It could look like a little bit of a game here, right? But that's what I'd watch today's session. Do we hold above 524? Do we form a base here? Because if we do, that's probably the best possible long opportunity. Okay. Where do we go to? Like, where's the next stop? So if we hold here, next stop is this. You can see 550, 550, 549 to 550 is the next stop. And that's where we're at right now. And that's where we produced a high yesterday, was really around 549. That's supply. So 549 is major supply. You don't think we'll see it again in 90 days? Paris, it's possible. You know what? It's true. It is very true. You are very right. We may see more volatility like this as long as Trump is president. I mean, it's very possible. So I don't want to say we're not going to see this again in a decade, but this is something we haven't seen in a decade, and I think that's important to recognize. But the 549 level is the level to watch out for. If we are pushing into 549 today, right, you don't really want to be long here. Your best possible long is going to be back at demand here, back at demand there, or simply above the 550, 549. That would be your break and retest long place today. If you are a short bias trader, you are sitting like a hawk today, and you are waiting for this moment right here where we fail back below 524 and look for the retest short. If you are a short trader, you're looking for that. You're targeting back into 510. You're targeting back into 4986. So again, my belief is that if we do give up this Wednesday Friday level, that we sort of fizzle out and give up a lot of the upside move yesterday's session. Therefore, we must hold that today for long bias. Okay, so. On days like this, you size down? Not necessarily, right? Not necessarily. Even yesterday's session, it's not necessarily you size down. You just want to wait for an extra degree of confirmation before you take that trade, right? So that's just my mindset. I think we can always create reasons to size down. And, for me, this is not a moment you size down. It's just a moment you want to look for some more confirmation. On the ES chart, it simply comes down to 5,300, right? So 5,300 ES, that's the level you're watching for today. If you hold it, we're bullish, right? You can look for longs here. This is a long spot today. If you hold it, bullish. If you lose it, bearish. It's simple. And where do we go? If we lose 5,300 ES, we're going back down to 510 SPY, which is the equivalent of 5,150 ES. So big levels across the board. And especially understanding this one thing is that we typically do move quite a bit post CPI. So today's session, I would expect some volatility. Just be aware of that coming into our morning, right? The supply comes in here on the 1 hour time frame. You can see here. I would argue that the supply for me, I really must, you can see there's something wrong on my chart, right? If you know what you're doing, you can see what's wrong with my chart. You can see that there's a low here at 55.60. This whole area to me is supply, right? This whole area here on the ES chart is telling me not to go long there, right? You can see that there is obviously a level of supply here. So be careful. Don't go long into this band between 55.30 and 55.60 because, again, this could be a potential rejection spot. The best long, again, comes back at demand below. Okay, that's where I think the best long sets up. Here at 5,300 and here at 5,150. Again, this would be equivalent to 5,510, right? On the QQQ chart, on the Qs, you can see how important these levels are, right? You can see yesterday's session, we made a move, again, a very large equity move, a very large equity swing from our swing low of 408. Remember we said the major demand at 408 in Qs? We held it, right? We also said yesterday, if you guys recall, we said, what did we say yesterday? We said if you were going to short back into 4,800 in ES, what did we say? Shut your computer off and walk away, right? If you're going to short back into this level yesterday, you should have shut your computer off and walked away because, again, that was a bad idea. Now, today's session on the Qs, we also said 408 as demand, but the same thing we said yesterday about demand, we must also say about supply, right? We are back at supply here at 466. You don't really want to be long in a 466 today. This is a colossal level. Look at the lows. Look at the lows, the lows, the lows, the lows, and the lows. This is an area you really don't want to be holding longs into until, again, you see what happened, until you see us pull back to the 443, which is that must hold level for longs, or you see us clear above that 466, 465 supply zone, in which case you can look for a move back into 474, 473. So the same thing we said yesterday for bears, right? If you are a bear, don't be short into 4800 ES, don't be short into 408 QQQ. We must also flip that script and say, hey, don't be long back into the supply zone, because 466 is still big supply. Until we break above it, it is then when you can go long. But for now, be cautious of going long, right? 445 is the must hold area spot today. If you were looking for longs today, you're probably looking for this here, right? You're looking on the 5-minute time frame. You're probably watching for this high here. So this high here, 443 to 443 to 441, right? If we can pull back this area today, right, this is probably going to be your best possible long opportunity. That's it, right? If longs are going to work on a pullback, this is the best possible spot. It's got to be somewhere here. Because again, if we lose this level, this demand here, then we fizzle, right? And we fizzle back down to this 421. I don't expect much of a hold to come in here, right? If we lose this level, it's back down to here. Why? Because when you see a big move up and you fail that big move, we typically see equal and opposite reaction downside. I don't want to see that today, but again, that's what we could see if we do see this level fail. So be cautious and be aware of the levels today. Be very aware of the levels today. I mean, as always, but of course, after a big move yesterday, you want to see if we can hold, right? So let's move on, guys. Yes, make sure you guys like the video if you can. Subscribe if you're not. I'm 200 people away from 10K subs, which is it's kind of cool to see that. So make sure you guys like the video if you can. I'd appreciate it. And let's move on. Okay, so I want to start going over our individual tickers, and bear with me as I do this, because you have to understand something, right? Right now, I'm doing a lot of this analysis live. This is post CPI, so things have changed a lot, right? So bear with me as I go through. Usually I have stuff prepared, but today's session, we're really just kind of free flowing this. So on the Amazon chart, yesterday the demand was 170. Today the demand is 180. If we're going to look for a play in Amazon today, I think the only thing we can really watch for is going to see, do we see some sort of pullback long sit up here around 180? If you're a fib trader after yesterday, fib traders are going crazy today. They're probably going to be watching. I mean, I would probably run it from that level, that 170 level. The 170 level, you can see fib traders are watching that 180 as well. So I think that if you are looking for longs in Amazon today, you're looking for an area back here at 180, right? You're looking for a pullback long here, 180 to 179.50, which is also that 61.8% retracement. I would say supply comes in. You can see the supply is definitely coming in, right? It's coming in around the 190 area. 190 is a critical zone. Don't be long into 190. If you're going to be long anywhere, look for longs at 180, look for longs at 170. Pretty simple chart here on Amazon. It just has levels, just like every other chart, okay? On the Apple chart, Apple also very clear, right? You can see the 200 supply is still big. This is why this morning, I know that the move yesterday was parabolic, it was green, it was awesome, right? But it doesn't mean today's session we can just come in and start throwing full porting longs, 0 DTE calls in every single ticker we see. Because again, look at the name like Apple. I mean, if you want to believe me, right? Look at Apple for a second, right? What is Apple really doing? What is Apple doing this morning? Well, Apple this morning is rejecting off of a 200 supply zone. Okay, this is a very big level for Apple, and if Apple loses this 190, where do you think it's going to go to? Right? It's going to go back into 175, and how do you think it's going to impact the rest of the market? So if you are a trader today and you're watching Apple, you really want to see 190 hold, because if 190 holds, again, this would be a hold spot, right? This would be a hold spot, and again, we go right back into highs year supply. But if we fail 190, then this goes right back lower. So this to me is a chart to watch. Apple at that Tuesday level, at that Monday level, at that Friday level here at 190. If we fail back under 190, look for puts back into 175. If we can reclaim 200, this is a really nice breakout opportunity today's session. I think the best possible trades will come in on Apple above 200, which is the big supply zone, or below that 190 for puts, right? Very, very simple. Giovanni, you think we should buy some more shares today and a bit more downside? I think you should always buy shares, right? You should always be buying shares. Should you be buying shares after a 9% equity move the previous day? Probably not, right? Probably not. Probably wait for some sort of dip to come in, and you may get it today, right? The dip, if you saw the move yesterday and you said, wow, I wish I had longs yesterday, you probably will get some sort of dip today. and you probably can buy a little bit of that dip, right? That'd be my view. Anyway, let's go over NVIDIA. Let's go over chips for a second. On the NVDA chart, we must watch this level right here. It's a very simple level. It's simply that comes back to that Tuesday high, right? Tuesday high at that 106 area. 106 must hold today. If you're going to watch for longs today in NVIDIA, it's got to hold 106. Look for pullback longs here, 106. This, again, could be a traditional break and retest. If it doesn't hold 106, though, if this chart doesn't hold 106, next level it pulls back to is 100. So, again, you have a level here at 106. 106 demand. This could just be simply a bull flag right back into demand here for longs, right? That's what my initial thought process would be right now, as long as we're over 106. Again, watch that Tuesday high to turn back into support today's session. If we lose the Tuesday high here at 106, then I'd expect this bull flag to fail, and we go right back down to 100, which again would be a big support as a secondary bounce level today's session. So 100 and 106, big areas to watch for on the NVDA chart. Okay, let's move on, guys. Let's go over AMD. AMD's chart. AMD, I see it, I know it. I saw the upside yesterday. And I will tell you guys, I will tell you guys when I am right about things and when I'm wrong about things. And usually I would say about 80% of the time we were right, and 20% of the time we were wrong. And sometimes you look at this chart on AMD, and what did we say yesterday? We said AMD, if you want to long it, don't long it, right? Well, look at AMD yesterday. AMD actually turned out to be a really spectacular long yesterday. It broke above 80, pushed higher, and this made a massive equity move yesterday's session. Look at the move this made intraday, right? Above that 80 level, which in my opinion was the only possible entry point you could have taken, above 80, this moved 22%, right? 22%. So when I am right, I'll toot my horn. When I'm wrong, I also will show you guys. This is a chart where obviously this upside had came in pretty aggressively, unexpectedly came in, right? Now, what we can watch for in AMD today, you're probably going to look for some sort of long to form back in demand, right? You're going to watch for either a long to form back here, 89 to 90. That's the area we have. Again, that Tuesday high, that Monday high, that Friday level, right? If this can set up a long here, this is your best possible long today, okay? At demand, at demand, at demand. If we lose this level here at 90, at 89, 90, really 89, right? If we lose this 89 level, then this fades right back lower, back into the 80, okay? That's the big area to watch out for. So the level of levels today is simply 89 to 90. That's the band. If we're above it, bullish. If we're below it, bearish. Supply comes in here at 97, right? If you're going to look for a pop and fade today, that's your pop and fade spot, right? It's 97. This is the area you're watching for pop and fades. This is the area you're watching for bounces and reversions back to the mean, okay? That's what I'd say you should watch for here on the AMD chart. Okay, I am trying to read the chat a little bit too. I'm just kind of getting an eye here. But if I do too much of this, we're gonna run late. So I'm reading what you guys are saying. Trust me, we'll go over your tickers in about 5 minutes. We'll start running through your tickers. Anyway, let's move on. Let's go over SMH. So the SMH bouncing, right? The SMH bouncing, SMH holding some big levels today. 205 is the big level I'd watch out for. If it can hold 205, that's probably your best case scenario. You can really see it. It's not just 205, right? It's these lows here. It's really 200, right? 200 or 205 is a major reclaim area on the SMH. This, of course, for people who don't know, is the semiconductor sector. The SMH is the semiconductor sector. And if it's holding 200 today, it's potentially a long, right? Potentially a long on chips today if it holds 200. This has to hold 200 though, because if it doesn't hold 200, it goes right back down to 195, which again is another spot to watch out for. That's the secondary level I would keep an eye out for on the SMH. Nothing crazy here in the SMH. I just like to look at it and see, hey, are we approaching any major levels of supply or demand? If we are, maybe avoid looking for longs on chips. Okay, guys, let's move on. Let's go over Tesla. So on the Tesla chart, Tesla also made an incredible move yesterday, right? It held the support we spoke about, the 215 support zone, and it moved from 215 all the way to, I mean, this is crazy, right? I mean, you have to look, I mean, SPY on its own only, I mean, obviously not only, I shouldn't say only, but SPY made, a very aggressive move yesterday. But some of these names, I mean, like Tesla, for example, from the low of that session, 218, all the way to the high, that's a 27% equity play here on Tesla. Now, what would you expect on Tesla today? I would expect a pullback, and I would expect a pullback long, right? If you're going to look for longs today, I would be watching the 251 area, right? You can look for a little pullback long here to the major reclaim level, which is 251, 250. This is what I'd watch out for today, right? I'd look for a little bull flag to set up here off demand and upside. Simple as that. If it reclaims the high here 270, right? If it reclaims the high here 270, you can look for upside. Trey, thanks Trey. I appreciate you. Welcome. That's cool. I didn't even know you can do that. Really cool. That's awesome. I think it makes your name like a different color or something, but really, really cool. Anyway, let's move on. So 251, big level, watch out for that. And then above 270, you can look for longs of 270. Those are the two plays I'd watch here on Tesla. If you get to like a smaller time frame here, and let's just really zoom in here, because like obviously I know the levels here, right? I know that the must hold spot, right? The must hold spot today is right here at 251. Okay, so if we're gonna maintain demand, we must set up along here, right? That's it. We have to hold at 250, 251. But if we reclaim 270, the question becomes, is that a long, right? Because you have so many levels yesterday's session where even if we do reclaim 270, I can see 270 as a level here, obviously, right? But even if you do reclaim 270, which we just spoke about, hey, I mean, you still have the high of yesterday's session, 275, right? So this again becomes tricky here, right? I think the best long will come back in a pullback. It will be in the form of a pullback, not in the supply. Because, I look at this and I kind of am going to retract my statement here, right? I see it, right? I see the long about 270, but I also can see the importance of this supply. There's a lot of levels here to watch out for. This to me is like, this whole area to me is like a no trade zone, right? Between 270 and 280. This is a no trade zone. So I'll be honest with you, I don't really plan to trade this between 270 and 280, right? I really don't plan to trade it. It's just a very difficult area to be long into. I mean, obviously, if you reclaim 280, upside back into that daily 200 SMA, I can see that as a potential play. But you guys got to look at this for a second, right? Let's just not be biased here on Tesla. Look at the levels here. You can see, look at the choppiness and consolidation here. If you take calls above 270, realistically, where do you have room to? 275? Is that enough to trade Tesla today? I mean, normally a $5 move is enough, but not on this IV, not on this volatility recently. This is not enough to trade. Therefore, I wouldn't touch longs on a breakout trade on this until 280, right? That's my mindset here. Above 280, if it does reclaim 280, upside back into 290, or look for longs back at demand here 251. So again, kind of changing my statement there, right? But this is why I'm doing stuff live with you guys, right? We are going through this together as we sort of are going through the CPI and all this craziness from yesterday's session. Okay, let's move on. Let's go over. We missed AVGO. Yeah, AVGO. AVGO 186 daily 200 SMA. You can see a major spot here, right? We also spoke about yesterday's session, the 170 reclaiming. Once 170 reclaimed, this was the break and retest, right? I mean, this is what you're looking for. If you think the market is crazy, right? But there are technical plays everywhere. Look yesterday, after the data was released, after the tariff 90-day pause came in, this is so long, right? Look at the break and retest, pull back to 170, previous day high. This is what we spoke about yesterday in AVGO, was if it breaks 170, this is going to be a really nice long opportunity. And it did, right? Technical plays matter, right? Let's not become economists here. Let's just focus on technicals. Look at this break and retest here in AVGO. Break, pull back long, retest, upside trade back into highs here. This could have been an incredible opportunity to yesterday's session. Now, today's session, if you're going to watch for anything, you're probably still also watching the 170, right? Watch the 170 for holds. If it can hold here at 170, this again could be yet another simple bull flag, right? A little bull flag play right back to demand here. So watch the 170 today. That's going to be a very key area to watch for longs, right? I'm looking at the chat now. I'm going to look at Esther's saying IWM. We'll look at IWM. We'll look at Meta. We'll look at Netflix. We'll look at everything. Let's go through everything. Let's speed around it. Netflix. So Netflix, you can see this is a danger zone here, right? 940 is a danger zone. You know this here at Netflix. It has to get above 960. If it can get above 960, you've upside back into 1,000. Until then, I will be hesitant on going longs here. I'm going long on Netflix, right? Pullback long area is a 900, right? If it holds 900, this is a long area. You look for this today. You look for this today. Okay, look for 900 to hold. If it can, this is your best possible long opportunity. If 900 fails, then you're going back to 860. Okay, simple as that. 900 is your hold spot. If it holds, upside. If it fails, downside. Okay, let's go over IWM. IWM, The demand is 170. Remember we said yesterday, if there's ever been a moment you wanted to say you wanted to buy equity on IWM, it's yesterday. It's yesterday, right? It's what it is really. It's yesterday. It's 170. You can see the major monthly demand here. IWM today's session, I would say big upside off the 170. Is there a pullback long here at this point? I don't really see a pull. I don't really see a play here today on the IWM, right? I don't really see a play. I think the next level comes in around 200. That's the next big level of supply I have. I would say this probably just moves back into 200, right? That's where it goes to. Okay, 200 is the next big level, right? Let's go over Apri saying PLTR. Let's go to PLTR. Let's do a little PLTR fun. So PLTR reclaimed 80, upside back into 90 yesterday. Now today's session, we are sitting right back at 90 supply, right? Do you want to be longing in the supply here? If you do, then buy calls right now. But if you don't, be patient, right? Wait for this to clear out the supply. Wait for it to clear out 90. If it can do this today, if it can do this today, a little bit of a break and retest here 90, this could be a solid opportunity, right? But until then, wait for this to happen. Wait for a 90 reclaim. Likewise, 80 as a demand hold. So those are the two areas I'd watch for on PLTR. But don't be long here, right? In my opinion, you don't want to be long here because you're putting yourself at risk for this, right? That's your risk if you long at 90 supply. Okay. Let's go over. We already went over Apple. Youngin, let's go over Amazon. We'll go over Amazon. Let's go over Amazon. On the Amazon chart, 190 supply. I think we already did this, right? We already did Amazon. It's the 180, right? You're looking for longs here at 180. If this is your best possible hold spot today. We already did Amazon. Go back to the YouTube. You guys are tricking me. Microsoft, MSFT. Microsoft 390, right? You can see 390 as an inflection point, right? It's really just 390. This whole area to me, this whole zone, right? Look at this whole zone. Do you want to get involved here? Is this an area you want to get involved in, right? Because that to me is saying no, right? This is just a zone of massive consolidation, and we're back right in that same consolidation range. I would argue that if we're above 380, we should go back. This is a channel, right? Channel low, channel high, right? That was a channel low, channel high, right? Maybe you can even bring it a little further down, right? You can say 377, right? 377 channel low, and then your high becomes here around 397 and change. We're back in the channel, right? So if we're back in the channel, you're doing this, right? You're simply going to say this. Look for longs back at channel low. Look for shorts back at channel high. Simple as that on Microsoft's chart. Until then, I would sort of be hesitant in this chart because this is not much. It's just in a range, just in a consolidation. Okay. Evan saying AMD is it AMD. They already went over AMD. Ty, as much as I love AMC, I'm not going to go over it. I will just show the chart. I really don't think you should be trading AMC today, unless you're just an AMC trader. But I think this is going to be a tough one to trade. Meta, yes, Meta. We can't forget Meta. Meta's chart. Meta. What did we say yesterday in Meta? Right. Again, I don't want to be annoying about it, right? But the levels matter. Remember we said yesterday, Meta was the strongest stock pre-market. Okay, this was going to be a good long opportunity if it holds 500. If it reclaims 518. Upside, right? Look for longs at 500, look for longs above 518. Look at the play yesterday in Meta. This is where opportunities come in. The question becomes, was there actually a setup here? Was there a setup on Meta's chart? Zoom in for a second on the 5-minute. Was there a setup on the chart? Holy shit, there was, right? Look at this. Look at the 518 break and retest we spoke about yesterday's session, literally 24 hours ago. Break, pull back long, the lower wick becomes your retest, upside play back into a massive move. This is a move that can probably retire you for the month, right? If you catch a play like this, you probably are retired for the month. I wish I caught this because I would be retired for the month as well, but I'm not, right? And that's why I'm here today. But 518, massive breakout, 500 held yesterday. This was a really solid stock. Where does it go now? Shit, right? We're back in supply, right? This is the theme of today. The theme of everything today is, yeah, we moved big yesterday. But oh shit, we're back in supply, right? We're back at this big supply zone. We're back at the. Am I allowed to curse on YouTube? Can I curse on YouTube? Is that a thing? I just realized that. I don't know if I'm allowed. I don't know if I think I can, right? It doesn't matter. Okay, 580 supply. 580. Why didn't I catch it? It's exactly right. Why didn't I catch it? 580 supply. Big level. I mean, if you love demand, I don't think you love it here right now, right? Unless you can get above the 580, look for longs above 580, look for longs above 580 for a move back into 600. That's it. But until then, don't be long meta until we break above 580. Simple, right? We're back at the supply, the daily 200 SMA. What do we do now? Nothing. We do nothing, right? We do nothing. If you caught it here, congratulations. If you didn't catch it, wait to see if we can break and hold above 580. If we do, this could be a potential upside play today, back into 597, 600, right? That's where we go to, right? But until then, until we break above the daily 200 SMA, stay hesitant, right? Stay cautious, right? Stay cautious. If you want to look for longs back at demand, you're watching the 550. You're watching the 550. That's it. That's all we have here on this what's it called? On this meta chart. Guys, that's it. I'm gonna end it here. Thank you all for joining in. I'll see you guys tomorrow. Like and subscribe if you guys can. I love it when I see it. We are 200 people away from 10K subs. Let's kill it today. I'll see you guys all for live trading. Bye, guys.